European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and US President Donald Trump strike a trade deal with a 15% tariff for the EU bloc.
Palestinians in Gaza say aid delivered over the weekend is not enough and hasn't reached all of the population of over 2 million people.
A landslide caused by heavy rain likely led to Sunday's deadly train crash in the German town of Biberach, according to a police investigation.
Thailand and Cambodia have agreed to an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, according to Malaysia's leader.
The European Union and the US have struck a tentative trade deal to avert a potentially devastating tariff war between the two of the world's largest economies. Under the agreed terms finalized on Sunday between Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and US President Donald Trump, the majority of EU exports bound for the US market will be slapped with a 15% tariff.
We've reached a deal on tariffs and trade with the United States. Today's deal creates certainty in uncertain times. It delivers stability and predictability for citizens and businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. This is a deal between the two largest economies in the world. We trade 1.7 trillion euros per year. Together we are a market of 800 million people, and we're nearly 44% of global GDP.
The preliminary deal struck in Scotland comes as a relief, especially as tensions mounted and the EU prepared several lists of retaliatory measures against US products worth 93 billion euros.
But it's an honor to have you.
After the European Union and the United States secured a tentative trade deal, many leaders have expressed skepticism about its terms. French Prime Minister François Bayrou called it a dark day as Europe resolved to what he called submission. Others, including Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, expressed support to the European Commission for reaching a deal, while expressing reservations about its content.
Valoro el esfuerzo que ha hecho la Comisión Europea. Valoro la actitud constructiva y negociadora que ha tenido la presidenta de la Comisión Europea y, en todo caso, respaldo este acuerdo comercial, pero lo hago sin ningún entusiasmo.
The deal is preliminary and needs to be further fleshed out, but would introduce a 15% tariff for the vast majority of EU products. The tariff for US exports bound for the EU market was not immediately clear.
Bisognerà lavorare ancora sull'accordo perché quello che è stato sottoscritto ieri è un accordo giuridicamente non vincolante di massima, quindi nei dettagli su alcune cose bisogna ancora andare, quindi c'è ancora, diciamo così, da battersi.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the 15% tariffs were across the board and all-inclusive. She added that it would bring stability and predictability to businesses, a statement echoed by Germany's Minister for Economic Affairs.
Das Abkommen ist sicherlich in der Höhe mit 15% im Basiszoll eins, was uns herausfordern wird. Aber der gute Teil daran, es gibt Sicherheit.
The 15% rate is lower than the 20% rate Trump first announced, but critics say it represents a concession from the EU towards the US.
Palestinians in Gaza say aid delivered over the weekend is not enough and hasn't reached the population of over 2 million. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said minimal aid would be allowed to enter Gaza after images of starvation drew international criticism.
ما شفناش ولا حاجة. لا شفنا مساعدات من بر ولا من جو ولا من أي مكان. هينا قاعدين على الطريق ما بنشوفش شيء ولا بوصلنا أي شيء. هينا قاعدين هنا بالخيام زي الشحاتين. بنستنى كيلو طحين في الشحاتة بيجيب لنا.
كان معي في مخيم تاني وثالث وقالوا الشحنات بدها تمرق ما شفناش الشحنات قالوا الأسعار بدها تنزل ما شفناش الأسعار نزلت. الوضع صعب جدا. أنا مش قادر نعيش مش قادرين نعيش أولادنا.
ما فيش هدنة مش شايفين هدنة لا بخصوص نرجع على دارنا ولا هينا نزحين. الوضع هو حصار لا في أكل ولا في شرب.
Israel has implemented daily 10-hour tactical pauses in parts of Gaza to allow for limited humanitarian access. However, the UN said the measures would remain insufficient, and the World Food Programme has called for reliable corridors and consistent access to deliver aid at scale.
A Russian airstrike on Kyiv injured at least 8 people, including a young child, local authorities have said. The strike on the Ukrainian capital also damaged a residential building, shattering the windows from the 5th to the 10th floor. Russian drones also struck the central city of Kropyvnytsky, damaging a regional philharmonic building. Windows were also shattered at the Central Ukrainian State University and in nearby buildings. No injuries or fatalities were reported. Both Russia and Ukraine launched attacks at each other overnight. Russia said it struck Ukrainian supply depots, while Ukraine said it attacked a Russian ammunition depot. Ukraine also reported 153 combat engagements along the front lines.
A landslide caused by heavy rain likely led to Sunday's deadly train crash in the German town of Biberach. A preliminary police investigation showed that the train derailed and rode into a mass of earth that collapsed onto the tracks. 3 people were killed, including the driver and a rail company employee, and about 50 people were injured in the crash, 25 of whom seriously, according to regional authorities. 10 people were flown by helicopter to the university hospital in Ulm for treatment. The region of Baden-Württemberg was hit by heavy storms earlier in the evening before the crash. Rescuers with dogs searched the train for any missing passengers who were potentially stuck under the derailed carriages, local media reported, adding that search efforts continued through the night. As of Monday morning, no further survivors or dead bodies had been found in the search.
New airport security screening equipment capable of scanning the contents of large liquid containers could soon be deployed across the European Union. This means passengers would be able to bring bottles containing more than 100 milliliters when traveling. The European Commission is now awaiting final approval from the Civil Aviation Conference before deploying the new equipment at airports.
Once we get the final report and the findings from ECAC, we will be able to give the green light, and then it's for the airports to put everything in place and inform the passengers.
Under the current EU rules, liquids, aerosols and gels included in hand luggage must be packed in containers holding no more than 100 milliliters. Several terminals in Italy already have the new screening system at their disposal, but are not yet permitted to use them.
Thailand and Cambodia have agreed to an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, according to the Malaysian Prime Minister. The news comes as clashes enter the 5th day, which has left hundreds of thousands of people displaced. Cambodia and Thailand have both blamed each other for starting the fighting, which began on Thursday after 5 Thai soldiers were wounded following a landmine explosion. Both countries have been facing widespread international pressure to stop the fighting. US President Donald Trump threatened to halt trade deals with both countries if the hostilities didn't end. Six people were confirmed dead in a mass shooting incident at a famous food market in Bangkok, according to Thai police. A gunman shot 5 people dead at the Ortokor market before killing himself. Local health authorities report that 2 further people were injured in the incident. Police said the gunman's identity and motivation was not immediately known.
Kind of flying robot, and when you are inside, you just ask, let's say you ask the machine to go somewhere. You feel like you pilot, but the machine only execute what the computers want. So it's extremely easy. Skilled to pilot an airplane, you need to be skilled to pilot an helicopter, and it's very expensive to become a pilot. The machines are expensive, and the price per hour is also expensive.